Admittedly, I forgot about the meeting. Do we have everybody, Nance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Not to mention, you took away my big moment of being able to bring the meeting to order.
Oh, well, you can. I'm happy to let you get it started, Sid, while I'm trying to find the agenda. Chantel, can you email that to me real quick?
Yes.
Oh.
She has to leave to do that.
Yeah, go ahead, Chantel.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Oh,
You're getting your steps today.
What's that?
She's getting her steps in today because she had to run. She has to go into a different computer.
No. I apologize, guys. I've been so crazy, and it's been on my calendar. I was looking forward to this meeting, and then it just slipped my mind today. But Sid, if you want to get us started, go for it.
No, there's nothing. It's calling the meeting to order on the 19th of November at 5:38. Can we have roll call?
We need Chantel.
Doesn't Chantel do that too?
Okay, my moment is shot. No, I don't want to be upstage. I'll wait.
We could do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
We got to wait for Jim and his flag. We don't know if he has his flag with him today.
I don't have my flag.
Well, you're dropping the ball.
I am big time.
Okay, that's
Sorry,
okay.
guys.
You're fine.
All right, let's kick it off. I pledge allegiance
To the
The flag
of
of
the
the
United States of America,
and to
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under
indivisible,
God,
with liberty and justice
indivisible,
for all.
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that was really in sync. Great job.
really good.
All right, Chantel, of course, I just found your minutes. You sent them out this morning. All right, do we have a motion to accept today's agenda?
I so move.
I second.
Jeffrey and Linda, seconds. And do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 15th meeting?
So moved.
Ryan? Can I second? I'll second. All right. This time has been set aside for public comment. I don't think I'm going to read it because I don't believe there's anyone for public comments. No.
I wanted to ask Nancy, was our names left off in the beginning because the city is really trying to conserve on paper?
Chantel?
No. Did I leave them off of the minutes?
Of the agenda.
No,
I was curious. It's not, I'm just asking.
I wasn't. Sorry.
She's doing two jobs at one time, so we'll give her a little slack.
Okay. So
Thank you.
still moved on Slack.
So we're just missing Dan Lass, I believe.
Yes, he is still out sick, but he sends his regards to all of you.
Well, we hope he gets better. Well, welcome everybody. I really don't have anything to report. Hopefully we'll be doing these in person by next fall. I guess we can go to old business and talk, get an update on projects from our awesome engineering team, and then we'll move on to an update from the communication subcommittee in case you guys met.
Of course, I have Don's on the line as well. He had not been joining us for a while, but I think he's back and he can always pitch in and expand on anything that I'm saying. I tend to be very short, and Don has a little bit better explanations for things. But we kicked off the 9 projects that we were given money to do by the Commission and by the City Council. So on September 24th, the Council approved the funds for all these projects. So I'll go through where we're at, and unfortunately, there are some of these projects that we're actually going to ask for more money, because what we're finding out is that the original estimates were fairly low, and we're not going to be able to complete the projects with the funding available. So the first one that I'll talk about is the gym floor at James O. Jesse. That one, staff met on site, and for the most part, I think that one has no issues. I think we're going to be able to move forward and do the work on the James O. Jesse gym floor. For the air conditioning at the Demuth Community Center, the council awarded the contract or the amendment to the architect's contract to do the design of that air conditioning system, and they've already communicated with Stacy and her team. So that project is moving forward. It's under design. I think they're going to do a field visit here in the next few weeks. So that project is completely moving forward.
Does that 130,000 include these people?
The 130,000 does include, when you say these people, do you mean the design of the project?
Correct.
The answer to that is no. I think the 130,000 is for construction. We had sufficient funding for their contract with other funds, so the 130,000 is for the actual air conditioning itself.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. In the next paragraph, it states that that is provided by FY 2021. Does that mean this amount is not coming out of Major J, or you need that on top of what you have?
So the money is coming from the CDBG program for the Demuth Community Center. From it is fiscal year 2021, Don, for CDBG. I think it was allocated from 2020.
It was programmed from the current year's CDBG fund,
which is 2021, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
1920.
20 and 21. So does that mean this is free money now, or you need this money?
These were not coming out of our budget.
Yeah, this is not part of Measure J. The Demuth Community Center is coming out of the CDBG fund for.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
They
this
were
is not
originally part of our planned budget, and then when everything was stalled, they found other sources.
Other money? Okay.
Right, and maybe in the future that will drop off of this list and not be mentioned. That way we're confusing the funding sources. I was just
What we approved was everything else other than those two.
right.
Thank you.
The one where here's one of the projects where we did start running into some problems. The curtains for the pavilion to address the acoustics in the pavilion well, I asked one of our on-call architects to do some pro bono work and meet us on site just to give us an idea of what it would take to do curtains, and will those curtains actually provide any acoustic relief? The answer is really no. There is no curtain that can be added to that pavilion that would provide any acoustic support or I guess lower the noise level and the bouncing of the acoustics. So we're really trying to reevaluate how we're going to move forward with that project. The funding for the curtains could be used simply for shade, but I want to be clear that the shades, if we do purchase them, they will not provide any acoustic relief, which is really what the project was meant to do. So I think at some point I may come back when I have more information and ask the commission for funding to do an acoustic study of the building. When our architect met with us out there, they really pointed out certain things with the building and the building layout. And it really takes someone that knows what they're doing to be able to address the issues that are occurring at that site. So,
and Joelle, was this maybe a two-pronged solution? And I noticed Cynthia is on this call, so maybe she knows a little bit from Parks and Rec. But the shade, yeah, no shade is going to offer acoustics, but that will take away glare or darken the room, depending on the quality of the shade or how see-through that shade is. The only way you're going to get acoustics is then to add a floor-to-ceiling type of fabric curtain that has maybe a blackout backing on it so that it's really thick, that would maybe offer some acoustics. So
Right. And I think we're going to have to completely separate the two. It's either going to be, we're going to provide shade for the building via some curtains or some mechanism, because the architect also pointed out that the way the building is designed, that the shades don't actually have to go all the way to the top. There's really an angle where the actual light starts coming into the building where it would be appropriate to put the shade. So there's more to it than the very, you know, as soon as we started scratching the surface, she started pointing out a few things for us. Yeah, the acoustics can't be associated with the shade at all because they're two things.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know the whole purpose other than the acoustics. I don't know that space. So yeah, I guess go back to Parks and Rec and have them, they're more familiar with it. They have the request.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is like when you have events there, the windows kind of rattle. And no matter what kind of shade curtain we put there, the windows are still going to rattle. So
Yeah.
it's not going to solve anything if that's what they're trying to resolve. But
right, and it's really it's not associated with the rattling. Maybe the rattling is basically another feature of the acoustic issue, but it really is not. It's really the building itself, the layout, the way that the wooden floors are, and just the geometrics of the building cause it to have really poor acoustics. The solution really is probably an integrated, full-blown sound system that mitigates for, you know, bouncing off the walls. So there's a lot more to it than just the shades. And we're gonna as you stated, we should go to the Parks and Rec Commission and explain to them and see what direction we get.
Yeah. How tall are those windows? Just out of curiosity.
I thought there were 12 footers.
Okay. So, I mean, you could get roller shades, even have them be electrified, well under $100,000. So, I mean, I hope that we're not having to really engineer this or bring in an architect for something that's so simple. We could just work directly with vendors and hopefully just bid it out.
Right, and then the design of the building itself, the soffits are not very structurally sound. So you can't really put, you know, supports for those shades. So there is some design work that we need to do, or at least flesh out. And we're not going to move forward until we have a good grasp of what we need to do. We're not going to spend any money.
Well, if I'm available and you want another opinion on it, I'm happy to look at those.
Yeah, we wouldn't mind you show. Yeah, this was one of our on-calls that I asked if they could do me a favor and just go out there with me, and they were willing to do that and providing me some insight.
All right.
Question on reaching out to, I'm just trying to figure out like a timeline on when we would have a status update on their what direction they want to go. So are they meeting in November, the Parks Commission, or you're planning on talking with it?
They're meeting on Monday.
Like, okay.
They're meeting on Monday, and Don will be attending that, and he'll explain the situation, and we'll get some direction there. At least for this particular project, we're not going to spend money unnecessarily. We're going to wait and get direction.
Right. No, I guess the last couple of months we've been talking a lot around like just communication to the community and timeline. So we shouldn't expect any updates on this one, at least until December, not January, about which way, either direction.
Correct.
Okay.
They're not using it anyway, are they?
Right now, it's closed to the public, correct?
Okay.
Okay.
Now, here's the big ask. The shade structure project, just this week, the engineer working on it, his name's Art, started looking and getting estimates for constructing the shade structures. We determined that there's 11 locations that these shade structures would be, where these shade structures would be placed. And on the very low end, using materials that the city really does not want to use, the estimate came in about $150,000 to do the 11 structures. Now, using USA shade, which is a material that's in the dog park, and usually that's the type. The USA shade is the vendor that usually supplies shade structures for parks for municipalities. Looking at all the costs combined for the 11 structures, we're looking at about $320,000. So if we were to go with the USA shade, which is what our Parks and Rec staff or our Facilities and Maintenance Department would want us to go to, we're looking at asking for another $300,000 to complete the job. What we want to do is use the USA shade specifications and put the project out to bid to see where it comes out. The USA shade works on our government contract, so we can go directly to them without bidding, and that's kind of the price that I'm quoting. But if we put it out in the streets using the actual specifications for USA shade, we may get a better cost. But that's kind of where we're at with that project. And I don't know if today, if we can talk about funding, what's available, and how much money we could put towards this project to complete it. At this point,
I would think getting better bids would be the first step before talking about funding. So
we can't put it out to bid until we actually have a project to put out to bid. What we have is estimates, engineering estimates, using vendors and using as much information as we can get from them. The numbers are going to be pretty solid. I think at the very low end, we're going to be at around 150. If we're going with the higher quality fabric, materials will probably be at the $200,000 to $300,000.
That's good. Is there any? Do they all have to be done at once, or can it be spread out?
I guess if Cynthia is available to answer that, I think we could actually pose this to the Parks and Rec Commission as well, to see what they truly want done. Cynthia, do you see, if we have these 11 locations, which one would absolutely be necessary to be done now?
I think we could spread them out. I think starting maybe at Demuth, just because it's a really popular park, especially on the weekends once regular activity resumes. I would say that should be the primary location, just because we have a variety of activities happening.
I mean, they're all important, and I would, especially in this environment, outdoor structures and safety and comfort is primary. But if we could, if we don't have the funding right away, if we could spread them out, once it makes sense, then that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and in the meantime, if we can search for grants to help supplant that as well, we can definitely do that.
Sid, do you have a question?
I just wanted to ask Joel and Don, in these economic times that we're going through right now, do you not think that it's not business as usual, that people would be more competitive with bids because of the struggle of businesses today?
Well, yes and no.
Am I naive?
Yes and no, because material costs keep on going up, labor going up, and almost every project we've quoted is coming in higher. So we haven't realized, I don't think, any savings in the construction industry. I think they're still at high bids, high prices. So no, we're not getting that saving that we might think we might be getting because of the pandemic.
Anything to do with construction right now, you're paying top dollar. And so it's such demand. It's one of the strongest economies right now during COVID, because of all the home improvements and everything that's going on across the country and around the world. People are probably using this sale material on their homes and doing different things. And so materials are hard to come by right now.
Right. The decision we have to make is whether we're going to go with a lesser quality material that would probably deteriorate, or we go with USA shade type material, which is higher quality, lasts longer, and is what municipality.
What is that really? What's the distinction of 150 to 300? How much in shelf life will you get? Is it really a 2-to-1 benefit, or is it better than that?
The with the lower end, you get the 5-year warranty on the fabric, 10-year on the steel. With the higher end, you're looking at 10-year warranty on the fabric, 10-year on the steel. So warranties and just the material is just that much more quality. And in the desert out here, it tends to get beat up fairly quickly, windy, tight condition. And that's kind of what our facilities and maintenance folks are asking us, if we should go with the higher quality, just because if not, we're going to be tearing it and replacing it very soon and wasting money.
I would equate it for all of you homeowners out there, or anyone who's bought a patio umbrella. It's like Sunbrella versus non-Sunbrella, and you'll know the difference. So I definitely have the opinion that I would want to go with quality, just because I think in the long term, you're going to have better opportunity costs. I'm just curious if there are economies of scale if we do all of this at one time. If we're giving them a bid for 11 locations, could there be some cost savings as opposed to piecemealing it? Because
you will realize a cost savings if you have a bigger project, yes. To what extent, I'm not certain.
One thing I would also just try to keep in mind, or I'm kind of curious about, is as Jeffrey mentioned, like outdoor recreational space and outdoors places to safely meet is going to be vitally important. And so I would hate for us to prioritize all 11 and then it delays the timeline until we can secure all the funding, rather than having the high quality and maybe in the most populous, most used parks as soon as possible. So like it's kind of, they're two different scenarios, but I think I would prefer quicker, better, faster than everything and slow.
Show results.
I agree, and if we could fund it, I would love to do all of it, because we're one of the few cities in the entire desert that doesn't have shade structures.
Oh no, I 100% agree. I just, if we can avoid that delay, that'd be great.
Yeah, and I like the idea of Duluth or wherever is popular, but I don't have, I don't know if you sent us financials for this month, but I mean, how are we doing as far as Measure J funds? I know we didn't spend all of that money for these.
I think Nancy's going to find us the money.
Yeah. So, I mean, because the original 8 items were budgeted at $925, and then we took off, I think the restrooms were covered by Quimby. We took off the air conditioning from Duluth because that came from another source. So I'm just curious, can we scrape up, 300? To me, this is just an important, visible, great project, especially during COVID when people are outside. And I just, again, I covet seeing play areas at all these other desert cities, and they have beautiful shade structures, and we have none.
Isn't that a savings from the floor and the air conditioner? That's about a 300,000 savings there, if I understand this correctly, right? If we're not paying for those 2 items?
No.
You've got money there.
That was already off of our budget prior to the last meeting.
Okay. So
Remember
I see it on my minutes, that's why.
Remember, you have a contingency amount left over of $283,400. But I thought we were going to put that because you had mentioned that the lead project was the most important thing you wanted to prioritize.
Lighting.
Yes.
You're talking about the
LEDs.
The LED lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at that point, we didn't know that we wouldn't be able to do the shade structures, though, right?
Yeah.
How much money do you say Measure J has right now available to put 2 projects? Is it just the 200,000?
Yeah, the 283,400.
That's the only available funding out there.
Yeah, and when we get the audit done, we probably will have about because of my great investment skills, we will probably have about 430,000 in interest income. So once that interest is, when our audit is finalized at the end of December, then we can come back and see if that is the true number.
So potentially we could have 400 and something thousand still for the lights, but also have enough to do all the shade structures now.
Mm.
Well, I mean, right now we would have enough to cover it. If we use the 283,400, we would have $333,000. So you're saying that the bid would roughly be around 320.
If we go with the government contract, the USH shade structure, where we wouldn't have to go out to bid, they generally, you know, this is a lot of cities have this where they give us a price. That is the price because it's already been vetted and we accept it as a government contract. In lieu of that, we can take the same spec and put it out to bid to see if we can come in lower than the 320, and and maybe it's more competitive and we can get a better price. If not, we can still go back to the USA shade price of the 320.
So, Joel, would we? I mean, obviously in that bid, so it's apples to apples from the participants. We would specify the shade material that it's all the same quality. We don't.
Right. We would go out and say it has to be USA shade material or equal, and we would try to specify as best we could to control it. And typically US shade would probably bid it as well as a participant. So yeah, that was my goal. If we could get to knowing that 320 would be the max and we put it out to bid and maybe we can come in below that, realize the savings, and if we don't, then we go to the government contract.
And I just don't want to suffer quality on something like that because that isn't, you know, someone uses inferior steel or whatever and then 7 years
the spec is a spec.
Yeah, we have to, as engineers, we have to go and look at what USA puts out and try to mimic the spec, ask for it as well, so that we can then put it into our bid documents, basically as an or equal. Because generally we can't use a vendor or specify a vendor to use. We'll have to use their product. We can say we'd like this product, but you can't provide an or equal, and we'll have to prove that.
So could we, in essence, go through a bidding process, award the bid, and start construction by late March when, you know, the weather's starting to turn? Because that's really ideally, you know, I would at least like to see a park or two completed in that April timeframe.
I think Art is pretty set to go. If we have the money, I think we already have a staff report sort of started. So we would ask permission to go out to bid in December 10th. And then after that, we put it on the street, and maybe January, February, we're awarding, constructing. So I think right now, the only thing holding us back is the money.
I would say.
And Joel, is the quantity, it's now 11, not 15?
It's 11, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I say let's
I think a secondary
aggressive.
question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think a secondary question on that is as Naomi was raising first, that if there's a prioritization that Parks and Recs can abide to help guide this for sequencing,
If we don't
having approaching it first of trying to do all 11.
I would say if we have the money, we should do this and get it completed. I mean, I think the reason why we had put aside the money for the reserve for the light because we wanted to actually finish that project.
Yeah.
And it was part of the idea was like we wanted to finish projects. And now if we could be certain that we would finish these shade structures and have them complete and up by, you know, within whatever it is, 4 or 5 months, then that would be a very positive thing, I think.
I think that's a realistic schedule. If we get the funding and approval today, we would go to council on December 10th for approval to bid, and we'd be out in the streets very soon thereafter trying to get pricing. So we go directly, or we can go directly to US Shade because we know exactly what that number is, and we can circumvent the whole bidding process and cut off a couple of months off that.
What was that total amount again?
It's to be
320.
I'm saying 320, but it's 318, 870. So it's really 320.
And we have that much money?
If we steal the 283,000, yes.
Mm-hmm. And then in December, you will have a better set of numbers, right?
Or a clearer set of numbers.
Pardon? Well, didn't she
Linda,
say?
Nancy, I think Linda's spending your money.
Yeah, I am. But I mean, we're very close to December and our next meeting. And if we can do this all at one time and get the best product, I think that's a great way to go. And then the lighting is a major problem. I think that, I mean, a major project. And we did talk about it because we thought we had some extra money. But when Nancy comes back with the figures next month, we may be able to do both of those. So I think we have money to do this now and get it started. And by next month, we'll know we'll have a few more dollars in the bank possibly, and we can really approve the movement on the lighting. Does that make sense?
I agree.
I just want to clarify. So there's two situations that Joel has mentioned here. We can go with, what was it, US
Shade.
US Shade.
Government contract, yeah.
Yeah, which is roughly $320K, and we can start right away, right? And then there's scenario 2, which is we put the project to bid and hope that it's much cheaper, and we go that route. It might add what, maybe 2 or 3 months to the timeline, right?
Yeah.
2 weeks.
No, because
No.
I mean, to bid would only be a few. You could do a bid process within 3 weeks, right, Joel?
Well, we generally do a 30-month advertising, 30-day advertising. We seek permission to bid from the council. That would be one step. Then we go about 30 days. When we receive the bids, then we have to go back to council to award it. So that then we have to schedule that meeting. And then after that, it takes about a month to get the contracts finalized. And then a few weeks after that, we're kicking off the contractors.
so March, April is a pretty aggressive timeline if we go with the bid route versus March, April seems doable if we go with US Shade. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, if you go with US Shade, they provide everything. Basically, it's a turnkey. It's already a government contract. We tell them start, and they start.
Could I make a motion that we go ahead with it?
A couple questions before that.
Sure.
Joel, so if we were going directly to USA Shade, the timeline to award versus going to bid, the administrative timeline, how short is that for a green light signed contract?
I think if we can make this happen, I could probably get that award in December, on December 10th.
Okay.
We can get them to give us the final proposal, agreement, and all that, and we package it up into one council meeting, one staff report, and we're looking at December 10th, and they're probably starting in early January. That's aggressive, kind of everything lines up properly, but that's what I foresee if we go that route.
Because it seems like in that scenario, the process it's a known process, and it's within the boundaries of the city's process versus going out to bid. Right. It's all of that plus how long will it take a contractor that's been selected? How long will it take to work through the legal steps in their universe?
Right.
Well,
that could easily push us into the summer.
It could, depending on if something goes awry. Yeah, I haven't had a project here in Palm Springs that goes smoothly.
I would second Sid's motion that we move forward with this with US Shade, and with a plan that would be completed in April.
Okay, we've got a motion. So that motion is that, well, first, are we also agreeing then that we're using the money?
Yes.
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 Okay, so Nancy, I guess we're stealing some money from you, and we're going to take that 283 at least and budget that for now for this project if it's approved. So the motion on the table is that
if anyone watches this on replay or something, can we just repeat what the 283 is coming from again?
That's your leftover money, isn't it?
Was those from projects that got canceled?
Yes, there were some projects that got canceled, and then some of the funds were reinstated, and the balance that we saved as contingency is 283.
Oh, it's our contingency fund. That's right.
Yeah, okay. 283,400.
Okay, great. Sorry.
So the motion is that we proceed with the U.S. Shades government contract to move and expedite this, do all 11 projects by this company, and that we could hopefully get started by the end of March. And that is the motion. So
Right. Can I just, it's completed by April. Isn't that the plan?
Or they can move faster, that's true. So we could have this completed by springtime?
Right.
With you?
I would say yes. I would think
all
the material.
11 locations?
I don't want to speak for their timeline because I don't have a solid timeline from them. I know what the price that they were giving Art as we were researching this. So I don't want to say absolutely with 100% certainty will be done, but if I understand the process, they should be here because they have the designs, they have everything. So it's a matter of mobilizing, they have the materials, and they can come in and build it fairly quickly. So.
Okay. So all in favor of you using U.S. Shades government contract and moving forward?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? So that was a unanimous pass to go with the U.S. Shades.
Who seconded that motion?
Jeffrey.
I did. I would just add, Joelle, that if there is something unusual and they come back and say, well, no, we're not going to be able to do it until the end of the summer, that we might have to do a motion, to override this.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And I will keep you up to date as to what's going on. And you'll see it in a staff report. As soon as I get all the information, it'll go to the staff report. So it'll be very clear and very transparent.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that if, God willing, if this has the best case scenario, this could be the kind of story after Joelle and Don tell us it's all a go, that we get a front page story about what the Measure J Commission is doing for the public. This could be a major story for us.
I agree.
Agreed. All right.
That 11 different parks or spaces is key.
Big time, and it's very overdue for our communities. So this is, I think, a very wonderful thing, and I'm glad we're all on the same page. All right, so the next item are the park benches.
I don't have an update on that. I don't know if Don does. I think we are giving that one to facilities and maintenance. It was just a matter of purchasing and installing. So I don't really have anything else to add than that.
Okay. Playground surfacing at Demuth, Victoria, and James O. Jesse.
So this one also has its set of problems, funding as well. Most of these projects that I've experienced here in Palm Springs, as soon as you start digging the surface, you start uncovering a lot of things. And Art, because we get our engineer, and based on what the materials that are being asked for by our maintenance and facility folks and the amount of work that it's going to take to bring these playgrounds up to current standards, we're going to be looking at another expenditure beyond the money that we have available. So that one is looking like we may have to ask for more money in December when Nancy finds the tax dollars. Or the interest that she says she's going to find. Right now, really rough, and I don't want to really be quoted on this, but I think it was almost twice the amount of money we got allocated for it. The playgrounds are in pretty bad shape, and we have to reconstruct everything, tear everything down, the surface, and bring it back up using current construction standards. And briefly, I think just very rough estimates were twice as much as our budget allows to do this work. So one, we're going to present that to the Parks and Recs Commission and see if there's other materials that we could use that might lower the cost. But when I get a better handle on that particular project, I'll come back with true information for you. But it's right now, it's not looking like we're going to be able to do the work with the money at hand. We may, as Don might present this on Monday, maybe limit it to one of the parks and use the money. So that's where we're at with that project.
When you do this, how long is the playground out of commission? Normally?
It'll depend on what is selected. You know, I guess facilities was mentioning they wanted to go something to some kind of modular tile type system where when one is damaged, they can just replace the tile. But that's a lot more work. You know, if one of the solutions is to put engineering wood chips down, like they have at one of the parks, that could be done relatively quickly. So it's kind of we need more direction or more funding to get it done. If it's just to tear out what's existing and put something like, you know, it could be down for at least a couple to a few weeks, just to make sure everything sets up correctly. So if it was engineering wood chips, you know, it's usually down for a few days, as opposed to several weeks.
Yeah, so from what I understand was we have a lot more work to do on our end before we give you a good update.
Are these hard surfaces like basketball, or are these under the play equipment?
Under the play equipment.
So you have to remove the play equipment. The schools have the soft, I don't even know what you call it.
Kind of like rubberized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if a child falls, you know, you just sort of bounce. You don't have a concussion. Is that the material you're talking about, Don?
Yes, that's what they're replacing.
That's safer and more bouncy than.
Yeah.
When I was chairman of Parks and Recreation, we put in the park at over on Ramon, and that was $435,000 for all the equipment, and that included the flooring, which is that rubberized material. And I was over there last week, and it's been in for almost 4 years, and it holds up beautifully.
Yeah.
Is the play equipment in use now?
It's hot.
I think so. I don't think we've cordoned it off. For a while, we had them all cordoned off, or at least all the cities did. I think they're back in use.
Cynthia, do you know? I mean, we've reopened the playgrounds, right?
It's not available.
How do they clean them? Or did they not bother?
Sorry? I didn't catch that.
How do they clean them? Or do they not?
I'm not certain how our facilities crews clean them, but I mean, those things, if they've been there for a while, they're pretty beat up. And prior construction standards were not what they are now. So there's a lot of things that we need to do to get it up to current standards.
Sunrise Park is open. I was there last week at the playground.
The play equipment?
The play equipment was open, correct.
Are you also replacing some of the play equipment?
This is just resurfacing. Yeah,
just a surface. Yeah.
That's the next, I think, probably another round of projects that would need to bring some of those into newer conditions.
And this is kind of what simply 3 little play areas.
Yeah, it's because of the material that we first started investigating, which is the tile type system, where because right now, if you have a monolithic core of the plastic rubber, when it tears and damages, it's not easy to fix. They have to take off huge chunks and then bring it back and fill it in. What the idea behind it was that if there's areas that get damaged more, they can't take out these tiles, they put them back in. It's an ask. We're looking, and if it becomes cost prohibitive, we're going to have to go a different route and then come back with more information for you. The price may not be that as much as I'm stating right now.
Okay. All right.
And then the last one on the list was the park restrooms. And I'm happy to report that the council authorized us to go out to bid on the James O'Jesse Park, the Sunrise Park, and the Youth Park. So we have the designs for Sunrise. We're almost ready to go. We're just going to finalize some utilities and some minor things, and we should be putting these projects out to bid.
And the pavilion landscaping, that's just a little minor one.
Yeah, that's in our facilities and maintenance court right now.
Okay.
And that pretty much concludes my report.
Excellent. Any other questions, comments?
So we'll know if we have more money at our next meeting.
When's the next meeting?
In December? Do we want to meet in December?
What's the date, Chantal?
I think it's the 18th.
Unmute.
17.
It's the 20, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at January.
I see December 17th.
Oh, there you go.
December 17th.
Yes, we should have it by then. The audit. I don't really foresee any problems. We do have new auditors this year. And like I said, I think it's going to be about, with the interest and a little bit of miscellaneous revenue, it's going to be about $430,000.
Wonderful.
So keep that number in your head, and we'll go with that unless there's some audit, which I do not see.
Oh, we'll hold you to it.
Okay, okay.
This is being
Nancy, are we still strong with a lot of tax, the way we were the first quarter?
Do you want me to give my report right now?
Well, I mean, sure.
Are you ready for the finance report? Okay, so we are at the end of October, we are at $2.6 million. And last year at the same period of time, October 31st, we were at $2.3 million. So the difference is we have an increase of $265,500. So $265,500.
Increase.
October, wow.
Okay.
And that's all I have to report.
Okay.
That's not.
I'm giving you guys good news, not like Joel, where he keeps telling you everything's higher. I'm telling you, you have more money. I'm trying to help him out here.
Yeah, good.
Let's hear
All
from
right, well, that's good.
Good work, Nancy.
Thank you.
That's not our money to use yet. Is that right?
No.
Oh.
The 430 probably in December.
That's nice.
Good.
Too.
Good. That's good to hear.
That is.
That's great news.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's because of all the retailers out there.
Exactly.
Well,
Our retailers,
remember the extra 430,000 is from interest income.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But we are, the sales tax is always coming in a little bit stronger. There was an anticipation of people going crazy in online shopping. The auto sales are higher, and grocery stores are higher because everybody's basically going to the store and buying their food. And Walmart is off the charts, those kind of Walmart and Target, and also Home Depot, any home improvements have increased dramatically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Great. So that was probably under new business. I didn't even see where your staff report was on the agenda, Nancy, but we'll go back to old business and an update from the communications subcommittee.
I had a question. I thought we're waiting to hear if the subcommittee could have 4 people.
They can.
It can. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't see that notice, or I don't know if it went out.
Yeah. Naomi came up with some great plans, which I only just saw recently, which was my fault. But I mean, I think the idea was to was to give sort of social media and snapshot updates of what was in progress, what we were working on, what was still unfunded, and you want to explain better, Naomi?
Yeah, so I made, after the last Measure J meeting, I just drafted a few templates that we could use and that we could give to Amy to kind of use as like the Measure J status updates on social media and on the websites. But I didn't follow up because I wasn't sure if I was allowed to be on the committee or not. So I just like made it and put it out there. So we can actually discuss it now, I guess would be like the next step. But so there's kind of like a PDF, and the idea is that, actually, hold on one second. There's a PDF which we could have as like a, you know, a downloadable PDF that people can get from the website. And then I made, there were like 5 templates of like square social media posts that were project status updates that could be put on Facebook and Instagram or wherever else the city is active on social media.
I think you could share your screen if you want.
Yeah, I was just about to do that. So I have it open. Let me just get everything. And these are, I literally made it like in the 15 minutes of the last meeting. So, and I haven't really looked at it too much since then. So I'm open to feedback.
And Naomi, this is something that you would provide to, I can't think of her name, but in marketing.
Amy, yeah. So these are just templates that then would be then for the city to just fill out. So I'll do the PDF first. Hold on, I just wanna share this one. Okay, so do you see this Adobe Acrobat PDF?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is just the one page, and the idea was that in this top box, we would have just the name of the project. So if we wanted to put the amount that has been approved through Measure J, we could do that. Approved, installed, or approved and delayed, we can kind of figure out the name. And then maybe ones that are just kind of in the back burner for now for future consideration. I would recommend we always have the date on it, so that way people can know that this was the status update as of November 2020, January 2021. I've noticed that some of the marketing materials sometimes that we use doesn't say what date, like when it's like the timestamp to it. So sometimes people like, what about my street? Why isn't it paved or whatever? So as much as possible, giving a timestamp to it. So that's the one page PDF. I'll pause there before I show the other social media stuff. Any thoughts, feedback, questions? That's kind of what you guys were thinking.
Yeah. I mean,
I think, Naomi, Jeffrey, I think the idea here was the template is a template, but it's really for the committee or the broader Measure J to feed packets of quick information to Amy and staff to then customize it and release it.
Right.
So data and the messaging from us getting filtered and repackaged in final form by Amy and staff.
Yeah, so that way, you know, ideally that when it's being updated, it's maybe like one line that was maybe delayed is now moving forward, or if it's something moving forward and got delayed, you know, putting it, wouldn't be redoing the whole document, but like really they'd be like, you know, bullets within each of these boxes that they would be moved.
Drop and go.
Trying to keep it simple, you know, for the marketing team, for sure.
I like it.
My only main thing was that we have, if everything's on the website with some more detail, because I think some of these things, you know, we're still confused on sometimes when we just see the bulk, you know, the one line. And I'm sure the public would want to see more detail. If we talk about shade structures, where exactly are we looking, or like that.
Yeah, that's a super valuable point if we want to make them like live links that then go somewhere.
Good.
I think that's a great goal. I don't know if we'd have it right away, but I think that's something you could definitely work with Amy and the marketing team on building out, right? There'd be more content for each project that would need some page to go to or something.
Well, if anything, on the projects that are moving forward, we would always have, there would be a staff report. A public staff
sure,
report.
yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I think what you're proposing, I think it's wonderful because it gets at the discussions we've been having over the last 10 or 12 months about getting our identity back out there to the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's important.
Yeah.
Great work.
All right, I'm going to stop the share and then I'll share again to share the Instagram and Facebook posts. So let's see how I do this. I think I'm just going to share my whole screen. That might be the easiest.
She's doing projects, having babies. It's rather amazing.
Well, that's why I did it right away after that last meeting, because I was like, this is gonna, like, my brain has limited capacity. Okay, let's see this. All right, so these are just quick little PNG files. So the idea is that it's like, you know, like you see on Facebook, you can kind of scroll multiple images. That was kind of the idea that you would be getting with these. So I'll just open this first one. So I can't even remember how I did, why or how I did this, but you know, just the title screen. Then we could have the first one. And this would obviously match the PDF. It'd be approved and moving forward. So these are actual projects based off of our conversation last month. And these were the figures that were tied to each project. So approved and moving forward, it was the downtown park additional set aside, the gym floors, the curtains, the shade structures, you know, what have you. So these were all ones that we had decided Measure J could keep moving forward. And then kind of just explaining these are projects that were approved by Measure J or recommended by Measure J and approved by City Council. Then I'll just show all 5 of them real quick and then we can talk. Then there was approved and then stalled due to COVID-19. And so these were the other projects that had originally, you know, been approved in last year's Measure J budget, but have been postponed indefinitely right now. And then, yeah, I was running out of time. So then the other ones are like for consideration, we can put the other projects, right? So these are projects that have been submitted for consideration for Measure J, which I think is important, especially as other commissions say, hey, you know, what about X project for the Historical Society, or what about, you know, this project for Parks and Rec, and we don't move forward. I think it's important to kind of write, you know, make it noted that we have it on file and on record that it's something that we want to consider if and when we have funds available. I think it's hard for people to, especially for residents or parents, be like, hey, I talked to Measure J 18 months ago, what happened? I think it's important to know like where it exists in the lifeline if it is a potential consideration in the future. And then the last post would be just an opportunity for engagement. So share your thoughts. And then people could comment on the post itself. They could email the city clerk or maybe Chantel, I guess would be probably the most appropriate person. We could have her email and then attend the next Measure J meeting and we would have the date for it as an opportunity to invite people beyond just the post, right? So that was kind of my thinking. People like, you know, quick posts that they can review things so they don't have to like download a PDF or anything. I'll pause there. I've been talking a lot. Any thoughts? And I can open any one of these if we want to look at them again.
Naomi, these are wonderful. They're really, really well done. The only thing is like our discussion today, the project is listed at a certain amount, and now we know that the project is double the price in the discussion. How will you explain that if the public says, okay, restrooms are this, and now we find out they're 2 times more? Because we want to be transparent with what the money is. And if, you know, people will assume a lot of things, but I'm just asking, keeping the amounts up to date seems to be a lot of work to make sure that what's seen is exactly what we've been talking about.
I think this is just kind of noting what has been discussed in a Measure J meeting and putting it out there, right? And making it a little bit more accessible so people don't have to watch the hour and a half YouTube video of us. where's this too? So if James O. Jesse or the, you know, the curtains are more expensive, or the shade structure, or what did we just describe? The shade structures are now, is a little bit off, but 300K or 320, you know, that it's just updated in the next post, right? The idea is that these posts are updated every month after every discussion we have. And so if someone's looking at October, yeah, the numbers might be different for a certain project versus what they look at in January. But the idea is that that is accessible, those changes.
Okay. So you would change that the next month after we've met and found out we need more money. Would you add, I don't know, that's more than you should do. I just think if people knew why, they often don't understand the dynamics of a project. And, you know, we want the best and the fastest and the best material. So that is why we have this increase in cost. But I think that, you know, that's just how I would look at it.
I would imagine those questions would come up in the comments. Like the idea is that we want those questions to come up. We want people to ask questions that they have, right? Like it's better that they ask us and we have to clarify than they never get an answer and then they're mad at us 2 years later, right? So I would say they would probably comment, and either, you know, one of the commissioners or Amy could say, it would, you know, according to our civil engineering team, the best shade structure costs more now, and the council or the commission decided to get the best quality to last in the desert. If you have any questions, you're welcome to watch the commission meeting here, right? And give the link.
That's good. Thank you for that.
I could just say,
sorry,
you go ahead.
Yeah, I think to respond to Linda, I think part of it, what you bring up is just in a simple way, it's a reminder for us as we process this and as we communicate it, keeping clear markers of what's an estimate and what's a budget number and what's a commitment, versus plus what's been funded. And if we're faithful to a nomenclature like that with ourselves, and then in how we communicate it, that probably keeps the guide rails pretty clear.
Thank you.
Fair. Yeah, I think that's
I actually think it's a little bit dangerous to put these numbers on a social media post like this. And I think this is where the live link might be better, because people don't always ask questions. They just assume, why are we spending, you know, why are we spending $100,000 on curtains? And I wouldn't put the number unless you can explain the project there, which we don't have room for. But, you know, on a website, we could sort of explain, you know, in much more detail. I don't think seeing how upset and angry people can get on social media and then also use tidbits of information as though it's fact without understanding it all could backfire on everything, I think. So I like the idea of listing all these projects and obviously everything should be transparent online, but it's hard to, I think there's a danger when you start to put some of these numbers out without the full explanation.
That's kind of what I thought in the beginning too, because as we project something off the top of our heads, but those figures change as we find out. And it's transparent and people need to know that, but I do think it opens up for a lot of discussion that could be difficult. And I think, I don't know, I think maybe the, you know, proposed budget, like Robin was saying, maybe there's a safer way to give ourselves wiggle room when new figures come out. I don't think we need to go for hours on this. It's a wonderful idea and you're working on it. So
yeah, I guess we can note that this is like approved Measure J funds. This is not the full scope of any of these projects, you know, especially thinking of the downtown park, right? The downtown park is being paid for through a variety of streams. And so I think it's important to note the limits of the Measure J funds. But I don't know, I guess I would say it shouldn't be so hard to know what our city is spending money on. And it's making it transparent and making it clear, like I don't disagree that there'll be questions. I think there'll definitely be questions, but the more accessible it is, the more future commissioners have an idea of what projects we do and what those numbers look like. And I think the easier onboarding experience will be for new commissioners and for residents to participate. I think it's a learning curve that personally I think is worth it, both for the commission and for the community itself. But I don't disagree that it won't come with its challenges. I just personally think there'll be a lot of reward on the other side.
I do think it should be out there. I think the website, needs to be easily accessible, and that staff report is not necessarily the best way, but it should be something that is clear and easy to understand. My point was just that without any other explanation is where you could get. Can
I make a recommendation, please? Before we get too far into this, would you call Naomi? Will you reach out to Amy? Because I don't know, this kind of has to be approved, what goes on here. And I would reach out to Amy and, give her ideas of what you want before we get into too much detail to see if it's going to be allowed or not allowed and that type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, whatever we do would definitely go through her. Absolutely.
So before we all spend a lot more time on, the what's and ifs and all that, reach out to her, and then we could come back to the next meeting and say, okay, she said we could have this and this.
Yeah, and then I guess I would say maybe the commission, or I'm sorry, the subcommittee, the communication subcommittee can sit, have a call with her too, and it's like the 4 or 5 of us now, I guess, with her, and then we all have kind of a better understanding too.
Yeah. Because I mean, she might say, "Oh, you can't do this or that," and then we went through all this, deciding of what we're going to do. So once you reach out to her and what we can and can't do, then we'll move forward.
Yeah, sounds great.
That's a good idea. It's good work, and your committee can refine it. But the platform is really well done, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It looks fantastic.
Thanks.
And it would be so lucky if we had that much interest in Measure J. So
true. We'll just go so viral. There'll be so much interest.
We might actually have a resident that shows up to a meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, as far as new business, I think that was Nancy. And so I guess we'll move on to public comment, which there is no one from the public to comment. And we've been through the staff reports. Any commissioner last minute comments?
I guess we are moving forward with the December meeting, correct?
Sounds like it. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I think we should meet.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with that?
I am.
I am too.
I want to see if Nancy finds any more money.
Hey.
We're motivated. Appreciate everybody's work.
Thank you, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
Nice
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe.
Well.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jim.
Bye.
Oh, where's my doggy? There we go.